If you want to see how to rebuild a plastic carburetor, keep watching. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take and remove this O-ring. This goes between the body of the carburetor and the manifold, and we don't want to scratch it or anything. We want to make sure that we get that out. You want to make sure that there's no uneven surfaces or scratches going there. But right now we're just going to disassemble, and we'll really go through it once it's all clean and on the reassemble. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the float chamber screws, and we'll start by doing that. And we'll remove that float chamber. There's the float chamber gasket. And we'll just, these screws are all the same. Okay. Next we're going to remove the float chamber plug right here. So we're going to remove this float chamber plug, and that goes just like that. We'll set that to the side. Alright, next we're going to remove the float hinge pin screw, and that will be this one right here. And we're going to remove that just like that. Remove that float hinge pin screw. Let's remove that. We'll lay that there. Then we're going to remove the float and set it to the side here for now. And remember, we got that float pin right there, hanging right there. So we're just going to leave that. We're just going to leave that hang on there for right now. Next, we're going to remove the high-speed fuel orifice, and that's right down in here. We're going to and that high-speed orifice is right down there. You can see it. There that is. There's the high-speed orifice, and you can see that actually it appears to be clogged, but it won't be when we're done. So anyhow, we're going to set that aside so we know that that's the high speed. We're going to remove the float valve seat, which is right there. So we'll do that, and we want to make sure that we kind of get it. And you can see that that's got a hole in it. We'll set that right there with the float and the float screw. Next, we're going to remove the side cover plate. And we'll remove the cover plate. And you can see it looks like that. You can see the gasket has got it's embedded with the design off that carburetor. Okay, next we're going to remove the idle and the intermediate air orifices right here, and they look like that right there. If you hold the carburetor just like this with the float to the side like this, first one here is going to be your idle, and the second one is going to be the intermediate right there. Let's take those out. That's the idle. So you see we've got them out on that. I got my high, medium, and low. Okay, we're going to use our alcohol here to clean these parts up. It's a plastic carburetor, so we don't want to get too crazy on any kind of harsh chemicals. Okay, what I like to do here is I got one of these little syringes that I just draw it up there, up inside, and then I like to just force it through all the different ports and there. I just noticed we did not take out the idle screw, so let's go ahead and get that. First of all, we'll take and run it down. It's about 3, so let's back it all the way out. There it is. We'll get the spring out with that. And you can see by looking at that tip, the tip looks fairly good, so we'll lay that right over here with our orifices. I knew to take that out. I don't know why I let it slip, but anyhow, just getting ahead of myself. Well, while we got that out, let's go ahead and run some cleaner down through there. Okay. That flushes out that that high-speed jet and everything on the high-speed end of it. I try to run the fuel both ways through there, the cleaner, just so we make sure we got it good. Alright, let's go ahead and get all these orifices flushed out. There's intermediate. Yeah, I can see through it now. Alright, let's go ahead and wash the little needle valve here, the idle valve needle. Alright, there's our low speed needle and spring and everything, so that should be good. And I did take spring off of it to clean it all up. Alright, we're going to get this little O-ring off of there, because I'm sure we'll be putting a new one on. So, of course, you know, that's off the chamber plug, so. I did not take this little plug out here to make sure this this was all clear through here. I blew it out, and I am not going to take that out and try to get that back in there. I got the rebuild kit for here, and that is repair kit Evinrude Johnson part number 439079. Let's lay it out here and see what we've got. Okay, obviously this does more than one carburetor. Float valve and seal. And that goes here. You gotta be careful, got that little spring right there. You gotta see how tiny that thing is. You can't even see it in my hand. See how tiny that thing is? I don't want to lose that. A little quick shot of that. You can see they're open. That's the idle. Okay, next thing you're going to do before you install anything, put anything back, you're going to inspect it. You're going to make sure that all the gasket surfaces are smooth, no nicks, no anything like that. And Make sure it looks good. You gotta make sure that the nozzles and pickup tubes are secure. You gotta make sure that those are all secure. You don't want to have any issues there with any of this being loose. And also, you want to make sure that where the orifices screw in here, the T's are intact real good, and that there's nothing loose. Neither one of these are loose or anything. And same way with your where your low speed idle needle goes in there. So let's go ahead and we'll start assembling and see what we can do here. We're going to put the slow speed jet back in here, and if you remember correctly, that was 3 turns out. So let's run that down all the way, and when you seat that, let me start that by hand. When you seat that, you want to make sure that you don't do it too hard. You just want to touch the bottom. Okay, there it is. So that would be 1, 2, 3. The book tells you to 2 turns. I had this adjusted for my motor, and I know it was 3, so that's where I'm going to set it, and that's where I'm setting it at 3 right now. Or we're going to insert the orifices, and remember, your idle was the closest one this way, so we're going to put the idle one in here. The nozzles, remember we had the nozzles facing this way, and the idle was closest this way, so we're going to put the idle screw in. We're going to put the idle orifice in first. And that goes in there just like that. Right there. And we're not going to over tighten it. Let's go ahead and put the intermediate one in. We know how that goes. We know it's right there. See if I can get it started. Okay, run that down. Now make sure our screwdriver's in there square when we snug that. And we're not going to get crazy, we're just going to make sure they're snug. We'll set that down. Okay, let's go ahead and put the side cover on here with our new gasket. And you got to make sure that we got our gasket turned the right way, that for our holes. So we want to make sure that that we're right. We don't want to see right there. That's it. That's got all the holes lined up. And then also we're going to set this cover plate on, just like that. And we'll put our screws in. And what I always do, and what they recommend, is you turn it backwards like this until you feel it pop down. You turn it backwards till you feel a little click, and you know that you're lined up for the same threads that it was in before. You don't want to run these back in there and have them cut new threads. You want to go back in the same threads that it was in before. And we're going to snug these up. Just snug them down. Let's see. It says torque the screws down between 18 and 24 inch-pounds, or 2 to 3 NMs. So we'll snug these down for now. I don't have my torque wrench here with me, but I hardly ever torque it with a torque wrench. I just snug them, and I've never had a problem, but I'm telling you, it tells you to use a torque wrench. Okay. It says, install the float chamber gasket on the new body. So you can see that these are going to line up over these nozzles. It's going to line up over the nozzles. And you have a lining pin there. And you have these lining pins. Let me show you, you can see it right there. And there's a hole in the gasket. So it aligns up there and it kind of holds it on there. So there it is. There it is. Looks good. You got it on. Everything's good. Alright, let's set that there. Next we're going to install the float chamber valve seat. And so we're going to put this gasket right here, on this gasket right on here. And then this is going to go right there. And even though they don't tell you, I always back it up to make sure that, and then I know I'm setting in it. And see, if you look at this float chamber, that's right in line with this fill, where the fill comes right up in here. So that's what fills the bowl. Okay, so we got that done. And then we're going to clip the float valve to this little tiny spring, or clip here. So that goes on here just like this. You can almost see that. And then that clips on there. And then that stays on there like that. Then this is going to clip over the side of that like that and just kind of hang on there. And we're going to take this rod and slip right through here. And that's going to rest right on that seat there. So let's, that slides right down in there. And this bar sits right there like that. Then this screw is going to sit right in here. And remember, we're going to back it up and we're going to run it down. That's going to stop that from... When you turn this upside down, this float is supposed to be level within 1/32 plus or minus. Well, you can see we're not level. And when you're going to adjust this, we're not going to pull down on this and bend against that needle valve. So we're going to take the pressure off of that when we adjust the float. We're just going to bend this just a little bit. We're just going to stick that on there. And we're just going to make sure that we just bend that little tab just a little bit. Don't take much. And then we're going to put it back in here. You can see that float, I don't know if the camera angle shows it, but the float is set and level now. And by measuring off the end of the carburetor bowl here. And I don't know if the camera angle, for me to show you that angle, but if you put a straight edge on there, the float is down within the 1/32 of an inch of being level. Okay, now we've got to put the high-speed orifice in here, so let's do that. And you know, it can only go one way. It's got to go for the, so you can put the screwdriver on it. We're not going to over tighten it, because if you do, you can't get it out the next time. And you can see that it's in there. Let's install the chamber plug with its new O-ring. There's the new O-ring. And we're going to put the O-ring on right there. And we're going to put that right in the end there. And it's got like a groove right there that O-ring can seat in. We're going to snug that up. Alright, there it is. Now we're going to install the float chamber and the retaining screws to hold it on there. So let's go ahead and get this. Got our gasket all on there. Got our float height set. Make sure we've lined everything up, and this goes right in there. And that sets right on there. And we're going to do the same as we did before. We're going to put all the screws in. We're going to back them up right here. And run it down. Back it up. Run it down. And these torque down between 18 and 24 inch-pounds or 2 to 3 NMs. So it's just, I'm going to snug all these up. I didn't see where it set a pattern, but I'm gonna go on. We're gonna remember, this is a plastic carburetor, so we do not want to break it. We don't want to torque these down too tight where we strip them out. We don't want to do, you know, you got to remember, all this is plastic. And then the last but not least, we're going to put our, we're going to install the O-ring seal and attach the main body of the throttle body back onto the motor, and we'll torque that down between 45 to 55 inch-pounds or 5 to 6 NMs. So you can see that this is going to go back in here. I see that wants to jump out of there, so we might have to cheat and put a little grease or something to hold it in until I get it back on there. But right there's the way it looks, just like that. One down, 5 to go. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And always keep watching. Stay safe on the water. Take care.